Hey guys, welcome back to Encouraging Teens in the Music Scene. My name is Joy.
And my name is Bea, and today we are joined by the multi-talented and multi-instrumentalist and vocalist, Jackson Powell.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Thank you for joining. To get us started, why don't you tell us a little bit about your music background and how you got started?
My family is full of professional musicians. So my mom, my dad, my uncle, my cousin, my grandmother all are or were making a living playing music professionally. And so it's, I guess, always kind of been part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I started from a young age, and I got more connected to it the older I got.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it.
That's crazy. Everyone in your family?
Yeah.
Oh
all the cool people.
It's in your blood.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us all the instruments you play?
Yeah.
Well, so I play drums, guitar, bass, and keys, but I don't like to. I know people that say I play this instrument and then they play hot cross buns or something. And so I guess to a certain degree, I play instruments, but I wouldn't consider myself a guitarist, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can write on guitar, but I would never pick up a guitar at a jam session.
Yeah.
Yeah, for you.
So to get us started, maybe you could plug yourself for a second and talk about a project or things that you've released in the past.
Well, I'm currently working on a project that I'm really excited about, but I'm trying to think of a project I wasn't excited about. It's got some really cool features on it. I can't say all of them because I don't know if I should, but Braxton Cook is going to be on it. I'm really excited about that. Romderful, he's a British.
Oh my God.
He's going to be on it. I'm really excited. This guy named Kari, he's a rapper from Chicago. And then some other friends of mine, and then some other people that I haven't officially connect. I can't officially say that they're going to be on it.
That's amazing.
I'm really
sick. How did you get in sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask, how did you get these people on to work with you? How did you go about doing it?
Well, so basically sometimes it's just who finds you and then who follows you and who's who I want to work, and then other people who are mutual followers. So for instance, I was on Maxwell's recent project, and from that Maxwell followed me, and I was able to DM people who also followed Maxwell and Braxton Cook and other people who they see. This person is also followed by other people. So basically if they trust this kid, then maybe I should too. And I feel that was probably more so what allowed me to get in contact with those people.
That's smart. That's
but
smart.
It's not, I just turned 18, and so it's not I'm a kid anymore. It's kind of I'm starting to enter that stage where I'm the same as everybody else. So I'm still trying to get all those connections that I can right now.
Yeah, definitely. Wow.
How'd you go about kind of getting your foot in that door then? Making the first connections that you can make all the rest of them?
Well, I went to school with Lindsay Lomas, and do you know who Lindsay Lomas is?
Yeah.
She's really talented. She's a good friend of mine. And so there was kind of that where that whole pickup music sort of community on Instagram, that I think really helped catapult me into it, because I saw what it took for her to be able to establish connections like Alan Stone and Tori Kelly, or not Tori Kelly, but people like that are really cool. And so I was I think I could do that if I figured out who it was that would be interested in working with me. So I haven't DM'd Charlie Puth, and he's been I love it. It's been smaller producers, and I've built up people that I really enjoy listening to.
That's sick.
Well, now we can sort of get into the like actual making of the music process. So like when you're going about
Mm-hmm.
producing and stuff like that, do you have a like a certain
Inspiration,
like path that you follow or
like a
Okay.
regimen, some.
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, Not really. It definitely changes. So the music that I have released on Spotify is like the ballad was the first song that I ever finished by myself. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been writing music for a long time, but I would never finish songs just because I would get distracted or like I guess my dad calls it like the shiny object. Like I always am too focused on whatever is most interesting to me at that time rather than
Mm-hmm.
finishing something. And so I guess that the music that I have released, all of it was written in different ways. So the ballad was the first song that I ever just sat down and like finished and didn't stop till I was finished.
Mm-hmm.
And the Can't Keep Waiting was one that I co-wrote and I had like a melody idea and I needed to flesh it out. And then the other one, I heard Malachi, MJL. I heard him drum and I was like, I'm going to write a song and he's going to shed over it. So that's what I did.
That's amazing.
So I guess it does change depending on the vibe and the players and what I'm interested in getting out of the song.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But for this current project, I've been writing tracks and then writing around the tracks because I'm more interested in production. I guess I would rather be a producer and an artist than an artist and a producer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So
Well, to anyone who hasn't heard his music, I would recommend listening to it because it is so good. All his
Okay.
music
well, thank
is
you.
so good.
Y'all go on Spotify right after this and go listen and stream Jackson's music because it is so good and you will not regret it.
It's
Promise
different.
you.
The new music is really different though. I mean, well, I guess every song on that EP is really different.
Yeah.
Very
But
true.
it's been hard to like establish a fan base, I guess, because like who are my fans? Like each
Mm.
song is so drastically different that it's hard to grapple like a certain group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had a hard time deciding like, am I going to be a pop musician or am I going to be like the white guy in hip hop, like Post Malone or whatever? And then
Uh-huh.
I think I just realized that if I figured out how to mesh all of it together and consolidate it into like a project, this would be what it
Mm-hmm.
is. So if they listen to it and they like it, I can't guarantee they're gonna like what I'm about to put out. And if they listen to it and they hate it, chances are they might like it and like the next project. So I guess
True.
no guarantees in either direction.
I mean, we do like you as a musician though, and your music and where your flow is and the music that you do create. So I feel like anything that you would release, we would like if we're like super down for you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
um yeah.
Well, it's
I'm
also
excited to see like the new direction though. Because that's always fun, like to hear what else is forming, what other ideas you're thinking of.
yeah. Well, it's interesting because like a lot of the Berkeley students really liked it, and like there's we saw Jacob Collier talk for 5 week like on a Zoom, and he talked about how
Mm-hmm.
like he didn't have any fans really that he had ever met, and then when he went to Berkeley, it was like hundreds of people in that room, and it was the first time he ever really saw his
Mm-hmm.
fans. So I was like, how can I connect with people that aren't musicians? Because that's a big deal
Yeah.
for me. Like I've been raised by musicians, so I know like who played on this record, who produced it, but regular people don't know that. And so I would rather
Mm-hmm.
not be that person, someone that can make interesting music, but
Mm-hmm.
also connect with whoever. D'Angelo, like obviously is a talented musician and he plays all his instruments and I'm pretty sure he produced Brown Sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So he has the ability to like do crazy stuff, but he decided I'm going to hunker down and I'm going to make just a funky record. And
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what I got out of that experience.
Mm. Well, I feel like what you were talking about reminded me a lot about Prince, because he played all kinds of different genres, all kinds of different types of music, right? And some people thought that's what's up. That's what's up. I got my Purple Rain poster right up there. But a lot of, and another poster, but a lot of people were like, what? Who is this guy? Like, what? He's playing all kinds of different music. He's not just one genre. And that is like such a great thing that he can weave out of different genres and people will still love him. And like, no matter what, people are going to love you, people aren't. Um, but I really like your sound and that you are changing things. But that just reminded me of that, like,
Yeah.
because it's also timeless too, which is also really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. But you know, I'm from Nashville, so I know what it means to be an artist, and it's like winning the lottery. To be a Prince is unheard of.
Yeah.
And so I've seen enough
Yes.
people, enough talented people not make it to know like I'm gonna have to try really hard, and even that might not be enough. And so that's why I'm working with a lot of people, because I think, I don't know, I don't want to plan like I'm not gonna make it, but I also don't want to be irresponsible.
Yes.
So I'm just trying my best.
Totally feel you. And that's where like these connections really is what we really need. Because that's how we build that and get to know other people and play with other people and get those experiences. So yeah, totally feel where you're going with that.
Well, as a producer, since you said earlier that you kind of put producing ahead of like being an artist for yourself, how do you know when enough is enough when you're working on a project? Because there's so many cool things you can do as a producer. So how do you know when to stop?
That's really interesting. I think what it is like I have a really like, let me think about this. I have a really
Go ahead.
harsh ear for when things are like too much. Like, oh, that modulation was out of nowhere, or like that was too much. And I feel like when I'm making music, I have a very clear direction of where I want it to go. And sometimes there are like good mistakes that I make where I'm like, what if I did this? But then I'll immediately, like, the second I hear this is not going to work. And I think that there isn't much of a tendency for me to want to do too much, because I know what enough is. When, like, I know that, like I said, I create like a skeleton for the song. So so I'm not just like doing a chorus and I guess I've got to come up with a verse and a bridge now. It's more, I have the song finished and I just need to flesh it out. And I think I have a good ear for what it means to be doing too much. But again, that's subjective. So some person might be like, that's too much. And that's okay. They're wrong, but it's okay. I'm not serious.
By the way, guys, he just said you're wrong and he's right. No, I'm kidding.
It's not true.
So okay, so you said you usually have a skeleton for a song. So could you go through your way of writing a song? I know it's different and it depends, like sometimes you get ideas here and there, but what's like the way or the general way that you would write a song?
General way I would write a song. Well, usually like I'll have like a chord progression or an idea, and it only recently has it become like I'll have like a lyrical idea. Usually that's kind of last.
Okay.
And I guess I don't ever sit down and I'm like, I'm gonna write a Latin song, or I'm going to write a rock song. It's just kind of how I'm feeling, and it's whatever comes out. And then from there, it's easy enough to tell what direction I was subconsciously going. And I think that's what it is being able to like not force something. And I cannot tell you how many projects I have where I tried to force something, and an hour later I was like, this is garbage. And I think I've gotten pretty good at it over quarantine, of being like, this, you're forcing a direction, delete it, let's start over. But it's hard to be honest with yourself.
Yeah. How did you go about being honest with yourself? How did you make that journey on coming to that and making sure you are?
Oh Lord. Well, I don't think anybody's ever really finished being honest with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, it was, I don't know, for instance, like I'll create something, I'll be like, this is cool, but I'm not who belongs on this track. And so I'll get a rapper, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's this I can't say who it is, but there's a feature on this song that I'm really excited about. And I wrote like 4 or 5 choruses over the song, and I was like, this track is awesome, but it's nothing that I wrote fit over it. And so I
Dang.
kid you not, maybe 6 months worth of wrestling with this track, and I finally got it to a point where I liked it, but I couldn't write new verses over it, and I was like, I'm just pawning it off. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna be fine, but the point is that I think being honest with yourself is being critical with yourself, but not
Mm-hmm.
destructive to your like vision.
Yeah.
So not saying this
Yeah.
is garbage, you suck, being like, maybe this is not the direction this song is like was intended to go.
Mm-hmm.
And over 6 months you can
Yeah.
lose sight of that vision.
Yes, that's true. Like if you have something started and then maybe you put it aside or you wrestle with it, but your ideas also change and you grow in that time that does happen.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do end up changing it, um, oh shoot, where's my question going? But you get what I was saying, right?
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
you do go through a little change in between that time, and the music does change.
And
So
sometimes it's good, sometimes it's
how would
bad.
you
Yeah.
say? Yeah, exactly. So how would you say you would you just like completely scrap it, or would you keep going with that to keep the sound? How would you say you would keep the sound of that song?
Well, hold on. Trying to figure out. So I have like a folder of maybe, I mean, I can't even tell you. I'm on project like 400 and something for my like all my music that I'm actually confident about, not just like discarded ideas, but things that I really like. And
Mhm,
I think there's so many things I've just forgotten about, and there's some things that
mhm,
like linger in my mind that I can't, like, oh, I gotta finish that. And I think those are
mhm.
the ones, like, if I remember it, then I think other people will remember it. And
Yeah.
if I'm gonna forget about it, be like, that's cool, but is it cool enough? Like, if you have to ask yourself that question, chances are it's not cool enough.
As a
It is
producer,
cool enough.
well,
So
you
yes, go ahead, Joy.
have advantages of also being an artist on top of being a producer. But if you had to offer some advice to somebody who is just a producer, how would you recommend that they go about just finding people that they can work with or projects that they can work on?
Ooh, someone who's just a producer.
Yes.
Well, that's difficult because I can't think of many producers who what what it means to be a producer today is a little different. Like
Mm,
Monty Booker, like Smino's producer, or Felix, or Cam Obi. A lot of those guys come up with the instrumentals first, and then send them to people like who don't come up with their own instrumentals like primarily. And
mhm,
I think it's a little different. It depends on what you want to go into. Like if you want to produce rock music, Lord, I mean, I guess go hear some live music and like see if there's somebody that you like. And then I guess that it's all about connections. It's interesting. It definitely depends on the
mhm.
genre, though. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking about like your own music and your own sound, who are some of your inspirations, like
Ooh.
in general, but also that inspired this new project that you're working on and hopefully close to release?
Uh, Obviously, Robert Glasper. He's like
Mm-hmm.
conceptually and musically just totally up my alley. Uh, so what's interesting about this is that I was raised on rock music. Like I was raised by musicians that like sang in funk bands or played jazz and classical and country, but I was
Mhm.
just kind of more interested in rock. And I guess the more I got, the older I got, the more I was interested in things that were more complex. Uh, I think I realized that rock is sort of emotionally binary, like happy, sad, major, minor. Or
Mhm.
and then once I started getting into jazz more, I realized that there are a lot of different things that you can do with chords, and it's like more ambiguous with how it can be in like interpreted. And that was really interesting to
Mhm.
me. And I think where my inspiration comes from is the jazz stuff that I've been really into, like Robert Glasper and I guess funk included, Erica
Mhm.
D'Angelo. But then also like kind of going back to my roots of like interesting rock, Jeff Buckley, Radiohead, Bjork.
Mhm.
Um, and I think I've found a really interesting way to marry the two and also make it
Nice.
like contemporary, not like trying to make a 90s sounding song or 80s sounding song.
Do you have any?
So,
Go ahead.
huh?
You can go
No,
ahead.
no, no, you're fine.
Do you have any?
Okay.
Do you have any like tips on how someone might go about putting those two genres together, like two things that are completely separate and putting them together?
Oh, I don't think it's something that can be like I said, don't force like an image.
Yeah.
And so like if I said I'm gonna do a chorus and it's gonna be like hard like rock, and I'm gonna do a verse and it's gonna be like smooth and jazz and like with brushes and stuff, and it's gonna like I had that idea and I tried it and it didn't work. And I think
Mm.
like conceptually it's interesting, but if you are really truly inspired by both of those genres of music, then it shouldn't be much of a problem. Like I think you are what
Mm.
you eat. And so like if you listen to a lot of rock and you really like it, and then you also listen to a lot of funk and jazz, chances are you're going to make music that's a combination of all of it. And so
Mhm.
I think my tip would be just listen to more music and listen to different music and figure out how to respect all kinds of music. That's been a
Yeah.
struggle, especially listening and growing up around country music. I mean,
Mm.
it's been a struggle, but if you truly learn to like respect all kinds of music, then you can take away what people like about it and incorporate it into your own like art.
Yeah. Yeah. That just painted a beautiful picture for me. Um, but yeah, I agree with that. Like, don't force the image.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's something that sometimes makes it hard. Like, oh, I want to make it like this or like this idea, right? And it's good to like try it out, but if it doesn't work, go about it in a different way. But you're right, you are what you eat. Very true. And the music you intake that you really like, it'll putting different genres together will help you make your own sound like you've established. So
I think all
that
music
was a
is
good one,
is
Joy.
is I mean, all music is like a concoction of other music. I mean, that's where
Exactly.
jazz came from. It
Mhm.
was classical. It was
Mhm.
like I mean, to say like it's just a way to define things. It's not like an actual, it's all music. It's not
Yeah.
like two different groups of people. It's all the same people. It's just different
Mhm.
environments and different interests and different emotions. And I
Yep.
think it's all about the thing is, I forget the Miles Davis quote, but regardless, it basically says like what you're playing is only how you're playing it. Like what you feel when you're playing something. And I can't recreate
Mhm.
what Miles Davis felt in 1955. I'll never understand. I'll
Mhm.
never understand what it was like to be him in 1955. And I can play the
Yeah.
same notes as him, well, not on trumpet, but you know what I mean. It's like I can play all the same chords
Mhm.
as the black musicians that I love, and I'll never understand what it actually means to be a black musician. And that kind of it's
Mhm.
the same thing with all of it. If you learn to respect it and you learn to understand where it came from, then you
Yep.
can truly make it your own thing.
That's
Well,
quote worthy right there.
honestly,
Yeah, and it's all about the story that you tell. It's just different stories that people are
Mhm.
telling in the different
Yeah.
genres. Yeah. So I was wondering, so since we're seniors and we're going on our last year of high school, we're gonna hopefully start college on time. What is it that you want to do with your music, or like, what are your, like, what do you want like your legacy to be?
Well, I can tell you, like, I always think like a couple projects ahead. Like I said, the shiny object problem. Like, there are a lot of things that I'm really
Mhm.
interested in. And so after I finish this project, I'm planning on doing a collaboration EP with this guy named Master Soulboy. If you've not heard of him, he is ridiculously talented. You should write that down. And I think he makes like really great music, but it's also like happy music. And I think if I'm gonna make music that like connects with people in like a dark and like mysterious, complex way, I also just want to make happy music too. Like, I don't wanna polarize anybody emotionally where they're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna listen to Jackson because I feel sad. Like, that's not what I want to be at all. I just want to be able to like, I don't know. I think my legacy is a weird term, but that's what I want to do next. And then there's also like a project that I've been like dreaming of making forever. And
Hmm.
that one, I mean, I don't have like any features lined up for it, but I have like a plan for who I think would want to be on it and what they would do. And I don't know, I can't really explain it, but
Yeah.
there's this other one. I wasn't planning on talking about it, but it's going to be, I just adjusted my chair. It's going to be like only women. It's going to be strictly like all the collaborations are like women with an X, not an E, like people who identify as women. And so there are
Hmm.
some really awesome women that I don't see people like me lifting them up in the industry. And I was like, maybe I'll do this when
Hmm.
I like get a following or whatever. And I was like, why would I wait? Why would I wait till I don't know how to like say this without sounding like
No, you're good.
I'm more interested in like lifting women up than I am using them to like benefit me. Like,
Hmm.
that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I really truly don't see I I we never see women at jam sessions. Like, it's not that we're
Hmm.
like, you can't play with us. Why are we raising girls to only want to be like songwriters and singers for the most part? Like, but you understand what I mean. It's like
Hmm.
a lot of the most talented women I
Yes.
know are songwriters and singers, not because they can't play instruments, but because they're raised in a world where they don't see that as much.
Hmm.
And there are some really, really talented, like, I don't want to say female bassists, but I mean bassists who just happen to be female that are insanely talented. Or like Amber Navran from Moonchild. She's songwriter,
Hmm.
flute, sax, producer. She does it all. Like, I don't care that she's a girl. I think that I want to prove a point that I don't see other male artists proving. And
Yeah.
I plan on talking about it because I want to make sure that I can do it the right way and not just kind of like people will listen to it. Like, really, yeah,
Hmm.
that's how I feel about that. It's a hard thing to say because there's a line between contributing and benefiting
Hmm.
from an artist.
Hmm.
And some of the most talented women I know are definitely more have more of a following than me. And so me doing a song would
Hmm.
probably benefit me more than it would them. And so I felt
Hmm.
weird about it because I'm like, am I doing this because I'm truly inspired by women, or I just want more listeners? And I don't think that's true, but there has to be a very particular way I word it so it's not
Yeah.
misinterpreted.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
No, you're good.
Well,
Yeah, that's
as two
dope.
people who have heard you like saying that for one of the first times, I can say that your message like came across. Like we can, or at least I can tell what you were getting at or what you're trying to do. And I think it's pretty amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
I mean, it's
It
not
is.
like there aren't any women on this project that's coming out, but I mean, I want to make a point of doing it only with women. Like, not just, oh boy, I got to make up for all these men I've been working with. Like, I think it's more about, these are very, very talented musicians, regardless of gender. But what if I like, what if I really gave a platform to show, to be a liaison? How about that? To like be a guide for what it means to be a male artist, not just someone like, forgive me, Charlie Puth, but like think about the women that he works with. Like, they're people that are like Kaylani. Is he truly interested in like what she has to offer, or does he want her listeners? Or like, I'm using that as an example, not because I'm trying to put Charlie Puth down, but what I mean is like there's like an incentive in the world to like benefit from people who can connect to a different fan base, not to all be part of a musical community. Like, I guess Jacob Collier does that a lot. I see him do that quite a bit.
No, that's a beautiful thing that you're trying to get to, though. And more people should understand that and do that and go about like the music they're creating, or these people that they're getting on their music in that type of mindset.
Prince,
really cool.
Prince did.
Also, Prince did that. I was just gonna say that's what he did. Yeah. He had those bands with just the females, and you know, he had Sheila E. and Rhonda on bass and all that. So yeah, that's sick.
Well, maybe to wrap up the episode, you could give us like some last words of wisdom or advice for our audience. Like, what would you want them to know?
What I want them to know? Well, in a like a selfish way, I would like you to listen to my music in the future. But also like words of wisdom. I think I would never tell anybody how to make music, because there's not really a wrong way to make music, and there's not really a right way to make music either. But I think there's a struggle for like effectiveness and like really connecting with people, and I don't see that enough. I think that's why people loved the XXX Tentacion, because like he spoke to me, or like whatever. And I guess now he's gone and people are craving a new artist like that. And I think people are attracted to people who aren't just, you know, rapping about drugs and girls and stuff, and that's fine. It's fun to listen to, I can admit, but there has to be some sort of like, who's talking in the world right now about things that are, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, people are really interested in being like an instigator for change, but not being part of a change. And I mean that in terms of race, and I mean that in terms of sexuality and gender and political views and immigration and whatever. Like, I feel like a lot of people are interested in like, this is wrong, like going back to their day. Like, if you truly care about it, then talk about it. And that doesn't mean like putting people down. It means supporting people and building people up in a broader sense. I mean, that could be depression and anxiety, or it could also be something as big as politics.
Yeah, the way you're putting everything is very, very well. Just to let you know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to everyone for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please go back and listen to our past episodes, and follow us on Instagram at ETMS Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on all the streaming sources.
Yes, but also listen to Jackson's music.
Yes.
Do that. Go do that right now. Right now. Go. Yes, Jackson Powell. That's the name. Remember it. Remember it. Thank you.
For having me.
You're sure.